Hello, and a very, very good evening to you. It's wonderful to be back live streaming once again tonight. Tonight is the night that we've discovered that actually the lockdown is going to have to extend for another 3 weeks. So that does mean you're going to have to endure another 3 weeks of Behind the Piano live on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube. But actually, that's going to be quite good fun, so I'm quite looking forward to it. So it's not all bad news. Some other exciting news that I thought I would share with you tonight is that across the channel things are moving. Now I think I can bring up my screen and show you that on the other side of the channel we have got lightning. And now anybody that knows me will know that I'm really into my adverse weather conditions, and tonight is no different, so I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm going to keep monitoring the status of the lightning as it comes across like some live streaming weather presenter, so I'm looking forward to this. Firstly, I was going to also say thank you to Douglas, who's commented on the stream already. It's lovely to see you tonight, Douglas. I hope you're watching and hope you're keeping well and staying safe. So I hope you enjoy what we've got in store for you tonight. But I thought I would kick off this evening with a bit of music just to kind of relax us into our Thursday evening here. So here's a start to the evening. there we go. There's a sort of a gentle easing into a Thursday evening with a short improvisation on the current situation, I think. It's probably fair to say. Now, before we came on the live stream, I was messing around with some Simps, and I was playing Cooking Wenceslas, and we were talking about Christmas, because at Christmas it all seemed fine and dandy, and unfortunately it's gone a bit downhill since Christmas, to be honest, but we were thinking we could actually rewind maybe and go back to Christmas time, and I thought I'd ask Christmas about, I thought I'd ask Peter about Christmas. Peter, how's your day been? And we were saying, yeah, about Christmas, weren't we, a bit?
Well, I think so. I think I think we had great hopes for 2020. It seemed to be somehow a sort of magical year coming up, and then as just the minute that 2020 started, it all went absolute pear-shaped. If you remember, there was fearful forest fires in Australia, which were absolutely devastating, and the world was collecting for koalas, knitting mittens for koalas. And then we had fearful storms over here. You know, there were floods and high winds, and we thought that it couldn't get any worse. And it did get worse. And it would be an interesting experiment to rewind to Christmas and see if we can. Actually, I did write a story about this. One of my 10-minute tales, which of course you've all read, which I wrote quite a long time before any of this happened, was called The Resetting. It's where events in the world got so awful that everybody decided that we ought to go back to the beginning and start again. I feel terribly prescient because I thought about that before we actually needed to. And now, anyway, we'll battle on, and we'll make the best of a bad job.
Yeah, that's fair to say, isn't it, Peter? But I have to say, I feel like, and I don't want to blow our own trumpet, but I feel like we're getting a little bit better at this. It feels like we've settled down. We've had 3 weeks of kind of, oh my God, what's going to happen? And now we've got 3 weeks of, well, we know what's going to happen, so let's get on and do it.
Well, the only thing is, yes, as I've said before, for people like me who spend our lives just sat in front of our computers being creative, there's actually very little difference about our lives. It's just we actually do spend more time in communication with people because we have events like this, and I have other live streams I go to and talk to people, and I suddenly feel I'm sharing and creating more than I ever would in normal circumstances. But I think the downside is Claire today told me that it was Thursday, and I had absolutely no idea that it was Thursday today. I mean, really, it's kind of like being a prisoner on Devil's Island, which there was a very fine film with Dustin Hoffman called Papillon about that very thing. But I genuinely have lost all sense of what day of the week it is. And maybe that's not a bad thing. You know, maybe you take life as it comes and live it to the full, whether tomorrow is Thursday or Friday or whatever day. I can't even remember what order the days of the week come in. Can you?
Well, actually, I had this problem last week, Peter. Actually, I know Sam did as well. I thought it was Tuesday and it was Wednesday, and then I thought it was Wednesday and it was actually, well, It was Thursday in the end. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what? I'd forgotten it was Thursday today anyway, even though I did say it hadn't kind of registered. It doesn't feel like a normal Thursday. I normally look to Friday as the end of the week, and to be quite honest, Friday is probably the beginning of the week now. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, and what's exciting? See, I think it's true. I had the conversation last night with somebody, a very old friend of mine, and we were discussing whether anything would change after this. And I feel probably we will step back towards where we were before. But I think the fact that people have had this taste that the world could be different may maybe go some way towards changing the way we operate. But little things mean a lot. I was very sad this morning because I couldn't find one of my fishes. I've got 3 fishes who've survived against the odds. Well, against me looking after them, basically, which is a bad thing to do in the first place. They chose badly when they chose to be incarnated in my fish tank. Anyway, and I felt quite sad that one of my little minnows was dead and gone to the great fish tank in the sky. But then this evening I cleared out some weed, and there he was. He was self-isolating in the bottom of the tank.
Oh, thank
And
goodness
I
for
thought,
that.
I thought, I've got 3 fish and they're self-isolating. They're keeping apart from each other. They're not swimming in a shoal anymore. They've obviously kind of got the vibe, and they're doing it. And I don't know, I'm going to share a picture with you. Is that all right?
Yeah, please do. That'd be fantastic.
Somebody else. I'm going to try this. If I just press share, I think that shares my. Let's try that one. No. Oh right. No, it's not. It's not sharing, unfortunately.
Well, I'll tell you what, Peter, we can make that happen because I've got a picture to share. So what I'll do is I'll share it. You have a go, see if you can make it work.
Oh,
And
there
if
it
you,
is.
oh, you got it.
Oh no, if you've got it.
Can't quite. Oh no, I can see something. There we go. Yes, I think I can share that now.
Right. Have you? Can you see that? No.
It's disappeared
Gone.
again.
Yeah,
so tell you what, Peter, I'll jump across to my screen, see if I'll share a picture out, see if you can bring it up, and then I'll jump across because that'd be good to see. And I know you've got some other things to share as well, so I'll definitely come back to you and we'll see if it works.
Okay, you go and do your thing, and
well, you were talking about things being different going forwards, and I thought this was important because when I think about, we were having a discussion earlier today about what we would do here. Going forwards, and one of the things was that we always wanted to do with our projects was to collect and connect people through their different stories. That was kind of one of the driving forces behind the piano, so bringing people together and sharing those stories. But all of a sudden, we've realised that obviously location is so important as well. And I think we were overlooking that because it was taken for granted before. So one of the things that we're going to look to do is to try and bring location in as well as people, and connecting people with location, because clearly lockdown is going to affect people in a way going forwards. And what that means is that certain people won't be able to go back to the locations maybe that they could do before. Now, speaking of location, I then thought of this image that I took in Prague a couple of years ago of Stephanie. And I wonder if I can share this image. This image is taken in... well, actually, I can jump across to Prague and ask about this, but it's taken in a wonderful place which has very, very beautiful gardens in it, and there's a butterfly house, and it's I can't actually remember the name of it, but I think Arthur might be able to help me with this. So I'm going to jump across to Arthur, and he's also looking pained as well because we can't quite remember the name of it.
I'm just wondering. I've got time to Google this. Actually, it's by the zoo. It's the botanical gardens.
Yes, that's it.
That's where you. It's very nice. In fact,
it is very nice, and it's. I look at this image of Stephanie. And it's somewhere that I'd like to go back to. But clearly, we've heard, obviously travel restrictions in Prague, making that difficult. So this is something for the future that then we'd like to hold on to and maybe go back to.
Yeah.
Have you got any memories of this place, Arthur? Because I know that I think you
Oh,
recommended
I
it to me.
have. Yes, yes. In fact, when your mother was over, we went for a trip there. So yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, I think I said I'd turn over a new leaf in there, but it didn't. Probably hasn't happened yet.
Well, well, there you are. But I was just going to jump across actually quickly to Sam, who's trying to get my attention. So clearly something's happened. Sam, what's happened that you want to tell me about?
Hello. So we've had a few comments come in, and one of them is Calthorpe London Infinity Elite, who I do believe is a cheerleading group in London, who we were planning on working with for an upcoming project that we had in King's Cross, and they've joined us today, and they've said, as I think in reference to you playing piano at the beginning, as always, I wished I could have played an instrument. And in regards to how lockdown is affecting them, she says that she has to be grateful for her health. She's working at 2 food banks at the moment, one in Maiden Lane Community Centre and one in Somerstown. So yeah, it would be interesting actually to catch up, and we can get you on the live stream and find out how everything's in London. But I don't think we've touched base with anyone in London at the moment. Yeah, I was wondering how, as the artistic director on the upcoming King's Cross project, how you were feeling about that, Richard, now that everything's kind of changed a bit.
Well, it's a really good question, Sam. I feel like we always, again, I feel like we took the King's Cross location not for granted, because it is a super cool location, but we were looking very much at connecting people's stories, and I think clearly we're going to have to look at bringing people in a different way, I would have thought, because just to give if you're viewing and you want some context to this. The idea was to take 161 Light to King's Cross Station, and working to promote mental health in the railway is the idea behind this project and the driving force. And we were then starting to organise community groups in the local Camden Borough to come together and perform in that project. And we were very at the beginning of that project. We're sort of putting out feelers, getting people involved, and going to kind of like a procurement stage. The week before COVID-19 kind of hit, so we've done all the planning and we've done all the proposals, and then obviously everything turned on its head. The benefit, I think, is that whenever we've done these big headline 161 Light projects, we've always gone about it with filming in mind. So you'll have seen images, even in the trailer from tonight, you'll have seen images from the show we did in Romsey Abbey. In Salisbury, we've got some amazing footage as a result of the filming that we did there. And the plan was very much to do that in King's Cross Station. Now, given that we've now started looking at live streaming, I think it's clear that we're going to be able to offer out live streaming as part of that 161 Light Festival that we take to King's Cross. The difficulty for us is that we don't know exactly when we can go, but then everybody's in that position at the moment across the UK, across the world. But as soon as we do know when we can do that, and I'm very keen that we do this, we'll be able to kind of set some firm dates, and obviously we can tell people about it. But I think live streaming is going to be so important to reaching more people, because the idea of doing a project in such a prominent location such as King's Cross is that we want to engage lots of people. And that's not just across London, that's across the whole nation. So live streaming for me is going to be a way that I'm excited to kind of explore and develop that. And the performances that we put on in King's Cross, and the live music, the live light show, and the projections that we can do are all going to be intertwined into our live streaming programme. So that's our hope. And Sam, so in answer to your question, really, how's it going to affect the project? I think it's only going to make it better, if I'm honest. Obviously, it's just the workload is much greater, and we're doing R&D that we thought we weren't going to do, but hey, that's life, and that's the nature of journeying through a project, isn't it? And One City One Light is one of those projects which year on year has just grown ridiculously. Whenever we've gone to do something, we've always added masses of extra technology and art and creativity into it. So it is going to be really exciting. I mean, who would have thought we were going to hang projectors inside a globe in the middle of Salisbury Cathedral? But we did it, and that was awesome.
Just out of interest, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know how One City One Light began, I was wondering if you could maybe sort of tell people about the seed of it and how it all started.
Okay, yeah, fair enough, Sam. So the idea behind One City One Light was it actually started in our local church at St Peter's Parkstone, and it was about 6-7 years ago. Obviously I love writing music, and I wanted to write music for a purpose, but I realised that imagery went hand in hand with music. So if people came in and for whatever reason didn't engage with the music, at least they could take an image away with them, and then they might in turn come back to the music, and the two would then kind of go hand in hand. So the very first project I put together was writing a Christmas carol with our local church choir. And then we hung and we built with the youth group a giant star that we hung in the middle of the church. And what happened was that it worked really, really well, basically, and we got some nice press publicity. It gave people a focus, and it brought people together really, really well around this image and music together. And so we then developed the project, and the next couple of years I invented and built some different art sculptures and some new music. And again, we got some business sponsorship, and it grew. And within that local church community, we even got featured on BBC South Today in a live interview. And I remember the moment that the vicar who was in charge of the church at the time said, I phoned him up and said, "Oh, Father Michael, we're going to be live on BBC South Today tomorrow evening," and he just swore at me. Actually, was what happened. Which was hilarious because he understood what that kind of meant, because obviously that's a big deal, and live stuff is very difficult to do. But it was fantastic. We got an increase in donations. More people heard about the church. More people came, and it really it was a fantastic project. And then we shot a film about that, and that became the film, which is The Lowly Candle Flame. So if you look on my website, or if you look on the Concord Music website, you'll see the imagery that we shot with that, and we got the Wessex Youth Orchestra in, and it grew. And but what came out of all of that was basically a pilot project that we then took outside of the church, because for me it's fine to work within the confines of one building, but art and music is so much bigger and needs to go out more. So I then looked at spaces locally that we could go to, and we discovered that the Poole Dolphins Shopping Centre was an ideal place really to do this because of the way it was built. And so I designed and we put together, and Toby, who's our producer, was on that project, and Elliot. So the guys were just 18 at the time, and we built this giant globe, and we filled it with lights, and we put on a stage show with choirs, and we put the whole thing together in about 8 months, and took over the Dolphin Centre for an hour and put this flash mob performance again that we filmed, and we did it all live and tied it all in together, and again that worked really, really well. And after that, I think I then thought, well, where else can we go? And I'll be honest, I looked at Salisbury Cathedral and I was like, I'd love to go there, but let's try a few places first as a practice run. So I emailed Romsey Abbey, and the vicar at Romsey then replied and said yes, which I kind of wasn't expecting. I thought I would get a string of no's building up to maybe approaching Salisbury Cathedral, and people said yes. So we ended up with these projects that we then did. And we were completely thrown in at the deep end, if I'm honest. It was absolutely R&D all the way through. We're trying to work out how we could do stuff, because we'd done individual projects, but we'd never done a massive project on our own before. But what happened in Romsey was that we were expecting about 30 people to turn up to the live event, because I think we'd sold about 30 tickets online just before the doors opened to the Abbey. And because we weren't quite in communication with the local community there, and when we opened the doors of the Abbey filled up, literally like 400 people turned up, and we had a choir of 280 people who sang, and it was amazing. And the whole town turned out to support the event and get involved, which was something that we weren't expecting at the beginning, because for us, we were kind of at the beginning of the project. This is kind of like, let's see where we can go with this. We weren't expecting the uptake to be so great, and it just worked. It was amazing, and we learned so much from doing that project there. And we realised that we had something. And in the meantime of all of that at Romsey Abbey, Salisbury Cathedral came back to us and said, yes, we could do the project there. And when you're talking to cathedrals, you're looking about 3 years in advance. So we then had this big project then the following year that we then took to Salisbury Cathedral. And that coincided with the Novichok attacks. And it just all sort of fitted together, really, and came together. And it's just been that ongoing journey, Sam, of how that's progressed. And each one has been an opportunity to then sort of push us creatively and see what we can do. It's been a chance for us to get people involved in the project to help us out, because these projects are big. It's not something that just me, although I'd like to be able to do everything, it's not just something I can do. Although we're only a small team, we have to get people involved and to do that. And the best thing about it is that what happens about these projects is we get these teams together of people, volunteers, of people who just have a kind of basic interest in something, maybe in the arts, maybe in being creative, and all of a sudden they get this real world experience of being involved in the project. So we've got these amazing photos, Sam, of people like Travers and Zach and Paul, who's on the show tonight. And actually, I'm going to come to Paul and ask him about that. Working in Salisbury Cathedral on a project that is really big, and we made headline news. We got on Sky TV with that, so it kind of just sort of snowballed from there, really. And as a result of that, and as a result of the work we did there, we've been in talks with, I don't know if I probably can say, but it doesn't really matter. But we've been in talks with a couple of the national rail bodies, I can say that, are putting together a project in King's Cross Station. And the aim for that was we're looking ahead to 2021. And we've got some potential dates for that. But obviously what we're now doing is we're kind of waiting to see where the situation with COVID-19 goes for when we can actually then kind of commit to a reasonable timescale for this. Because obviously the idea about One City One Light is it's a live event. We put an art installation in and we do something around a live event and we draw people in. But what we don't know is whether live events are still going to have the gravitas that they used to, or whether we're going to have to do something different, because we just don't know what's going to happen. And that's why we're looking then at live streaming and other ways of engagement. And I feel like it's not going to be difficult for us to turn it around, but it's how to do that, and it's how to make the project relevant. It's something we're talking about today. How do we make One City One Light relevant in the next few years? And there's a big decision to make there, really, and that's what we're just kind of waiting and sitting here. So Valerie, if you're watching this stream still, or if you watch this back later, Valerie, we spoke to Valerie from Infinity Elite, they are a cheerleading group in the Camden Borough. Absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to work with these guys if we can, because some of the stuff that they're doing looks unbelievable. They're doing the whole pyramid thing. They're going full out cheerleading. It looks awesome. And to get those kind of guys involved in a project in King's Cross would be amazing. And then we could synchronise that with music and lights and projections, and a flash mob in the middle of the station would be awesome. So super excited to kind of make that happen. And
I think Valerie's come back. She said I think live events combined with streaming will be the answer. I think she's on board as well.
Brilliant. Well, that's what we're thinking as well. And Valerie, if you're watching, the whole reason behind this doing behind the piano is that we're practicing our live streaming here so that we can get used to it. Because I can tell you right now, it's not just as simple as putting up a camera and pressing go live. As much as I'd like that to be the case. I see, for example, I can just see that on the left of me, my camera there has actually died. Now, what do I do about this? Because normally I'd have a camera assistant who can replace that camera for me, but I'm stuck in the studio on my own. And I have no idea how I'm going to do this. So in a minute, I'm probably going to cut across to something and then try and fix that problem. But these are the kind of things that we've got to work out now, so that when we come to King's Cross or to other live events, we've got a way of working with our team. But so Sam, thank you for kind of quizzing me on that. You kind of stoked
thank you very much.
My imagination again. I'm sorry that I've rambled on a lot about that. I've taken up probably most of the stream talking about that, but that is obviously
No, it's good. I think one of the most exciting things about the project is the flexibility of it, and the fact that it's able to have these large, sort of shifts happen with the Novichok thing in Salisbury and now this, and it's cool to see how that shapes the project and how it evolves as a result. But yeah, it's an exciting thing to be a part of.
Yeah, maybe we won't do it on the stream tonight, but maybe in the future, maybe in the coming weeks, we can share some of the plans, some of the artistic impressions that we've got, Sam, that we've come up with this year. Because I mean, I'm stoked for this project. It's super exciting because we've got it all planned out. We just need to be able to go. But that's probably like the rest of the world at the moment. So
yeah,
you've got me all revved up. I want to go.
Who's next?
Well, I mean, talking about the project, I mean, actually, it's great because I can see Paul's in the green room. Paul, maybe I could just jump across to you and say to ask you about your experience in Salisbury. Obviously, that was an amazing, for me. It was amazing to see you as part of that project.
It was, yeah, because it brought back memory because I used to live in Salisbury. And going back to the place where I started to sing in the choir. You know, I was choir at St. Thomas's. Mainly, we have sang in the cathedral. And that's brought me back a lot of memories doing that. And also quite a few people in the actual congregation of the night came over and spoke to me and said, "It's nice to see you again after all these years." So it was like going back home again. But going back to the light thing, I think it's great. It's brilliant, especially the amount of people we've had there. And also the troubles that Salisbury's had in the past years. Now they got this on top of it. But I think, yeah, I enjoyed doing it. And I hope to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have you part of the project. Well, come up to London with us, Paul. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. And also teach some people how to tie knots as well. Doing it all night. Even another one of the screens collapsed. Nearly.
See,
It was a lot of fun. That's what it's about.
Do you remember what time you went home from the cathedral that night?
4:30. I got home at 4:30. It was jet black, and then I couldn't see your hand in front of you when I went home. It was foggy.
I mean, you put in such a shift to make that happen.
Yeah, that's a trip I will never forget. I know that much. I had a policeman behind me trying to make sure I'm going all right.
I've got some amazing images from the project of you putting the set together for us. There's a particular image that I love though, which would mean nothing to most people, but there's a picture of you pushing a massive wheeled. Oh, it's a big flight case. Do you know how much the lights were worth in that?
I hate to think.
Wait,
Long enough wheeling the boxes up and down the aisles and everything.
I was going to say, I think we had nigh on about 100 grand's worth of kit going around those boxes, which we were trying to keep quiet at the time. But yeah, that was quite.
Like I said, it was very good fun. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's like going back home again. And hopefully we'll do it again once all this coronavirus is finished. Do things again like that. Go back to Salisbury Cathedral if necessary. As you know, or even the sister to that cathedral was St. Thomas's. If they can hang a star there, I swear they can hang the globe there.
Well, I mean, we'd literally started putting out some bids and some proposals like the week before COVID-19 happened. And literally, I remember getting an email back the following week, and I kind of was surprised anybody got back to me at all. And they said, really sorry, obviously due to the situation. Put it on hold, but obviously, give it some time and we'll see how to go. But Valerie, who's been in contact from London, is absolutely right. Yeah, let's combine it with the live streaming. And I'm going to jump across actually very quickly to Arthur because live streaming. To put in context, we're talking about how difficult it is to put the live streaming together. Now we've been trying to help you guys in the Paliarka in Prague. to be able to put some live music together, and we've had varying degrees of success with this. And maybe you could say maybe a little bit about how difficult it is, and what your experience of what you've done.
Well, yeah, well, what we've got here, we've got essentially a studio, a sort of a basic place where we can perform and produce such videos or video input. And yeah, we did try to do it like you're doing, but it's the quality. If you look back through the programs, isn't so good. So last night we tried something different, and we have. I recorded a couple of our most talented performers. That's Jan Polanski and Gabby Rossi, who play and sing wonderfully. And I made recorded some of their songs, which they rehearse together and sing. Both of them are in different bands around Prague and in Czechia, and it was really to record those films and to see how we could present those guys from this distance in with good quality on the stream. So like you, we're experimenting as well this end, and I sent you one film. One performance. I don't know if you can try and show it.
I can actually. I can show it now if you want. So I've got it up here, and I think I can just press play and go out. So if I'll just see if we can go there. Let's play this out.
Jak léta jdou, svět pro mě ztrácí glanc. Všichni se rvou a už si dávaj šanc. Za pár šestáků vás prodaj, věřte mi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi. Čas žádá svý a vystráčí všech. Když překvapí, zpívám na schodech. Jsou píseň bodami, kde bude na zemi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi. Po jmění netoužím, jsme tu jen nakrátko. I z hlavy let přemýkat nervám. Já doufám mimo vlak a žandělky v nebi. Už víc nechci domov svůj na zemi. Čas žádá svý a mě se krátí den. Když před kapí to zpívám na schodech. Jsou píseň o nebi, kde bude na zemi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi. Říkám goodbye světskýmu veselí. Těm, co si užívaj, nechci líst do zelí. Jsem příšná nádoba, však spás taky nemi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi. Čas žádá svý a mě se krátí dech. Když předkapí, zpívám schodech. Jsou píseň o nebi, kde bude na zemi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi. V určený čas kytara dohraje, zmlkne můj hlas na cestě do ráje. O tomhle špacíru noc a noc zdá se mi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi. Už víc nechci mít domov svůj na zemi.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, it's nice. It's nice to be able to hear Gabby and Polanski play that, because it's been difficult, hasn't it, to do it over the over Zoom or Whereby or whatever. We're really struggling, so we're trying to come up with solutions to that, and we've got some in development. But obviously, we're trying to. It's hard.
Exactly. Exactly. So we keep working on it till it comes over as good as your own broadcast or your side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got some ideas at our end as well. That, like I said, we're in development, but it's going to take a couple of probably take about a week to build a server for us to be able to help you guys out with that. So,
Okay.
Toby's eyes are probably going, "Oh no, not another one."
Okay, because we've got an absolute whole bunch of guys here ready to play and perform. Yeah, and it's one time when I'm allowed to play the guitar too, which is very rare, to be honest about it.
again, every time you come on the stream, I feel like I need a little violin. I'm going to actually order one in so I can just bring it out for you.
A little tiny one.
Just
Yeah,
that small,
Okay. Let's look forward to that.
Well, so if Gabby and Polanski are watching tonight, thank you very much for that contribution tonight. I think Arthur's got some more. We'll try and play those out over the coming days. Really wonderful. I think Polanski, you said, Arthur, he came maybe an hour's drive, or it took him an hour to get to.
Well, he lives in a little village outside Prague, and a lot of people live quite a distance, so that they put the big effort into coming together and basically performing and producing, and they're all in different bands, and of course the bands aren't playing at the moment. Everything's like everywhere else, it's locked down. So the idea again is that the video is an outlet for that. Things are starting to get a bit better, but it'll still be several months before things get back to where they were just in January, really. So people basically have to let their artistic talents blossom, and I think the live streaming or the streaming and contributing to the streaming is one way of doing that. So we'll be back.
Definitely. I look forward to it. Well, Arthur, thank you very much for sharing that. It's been great, and obviously, we'll see some more of the fruits of your labour over the next few days. I'm looking forward to hearing some more songs from you in Prague. I know I'm going to jump back across and say hi to Peter again, because Peter, when we spoke yesterday, well, also you said you had an image to share. I don't know if you managed to get that to come up in the end.
I couldn't get share to work, but I'll tell you what the image is and why I wanted to do it.
Yeah, sure, that sounds good.
It was an image I took out of my window. I'm on the first floor looking down on the street, and there were three people having a conversation. Not unusual, but the three people were very carefully distancing themselves. So they made a perfect triangle in the street. It was wonderful to behold, and they were maintaining their distance, meeting and conversing, but in a perfect triangle. And I thought it was such a wonderful image of the time we're in now, and it got me to thinking about how we approach it. And I was thinking how actually being British, we're very good at distancing ourselves because we really don't want to have anything to do with anybody else. And suddenly being given the permission to stay 2 meters away from everybody else in the street is kind of ideal. It's what we're all really inwardly, obviously we wouldn't say it, but it's what we want, and that people just stay away from us, and we're just awfully good at that, which is why we're so good at pavements. We're very good at weaving in and out of other people, and making sure that they understand if they make a mistake and bump into us, we deprecate them by saying, "I'm sorry," meaning you have transgressed all the rules in the social calendar by bumping into me, and I'm really sorry that you are so inadequate as to do such a thing. So I think we're loving it. And I've actually just made a YouTube video for tomorrow about being British and how we love, really, in our heart of heart, how we love distancing ourselves. So you'll be able to watch that. Are you doing a live stream tomorrow? Are you doing another balcony job?
Yeah, so I'll be back on tomorrow evening. I'll be back on the balcony. well, all things considering the weather, which in a minute I'm going to have a check on because I want to see what's going on. But yeah, we'll be back on the balcony for some electronic music, which again,
I think that's terrific. I've been loving it. I've been watching it all the way through, and I'm really, I really like it. Gets to me. So, well, good. I think that's a good thing to do. I like this idea of doing extended broadcasts of stuff like you're doing on Friday, and like you did last night with Stephanie's music. Doing an extended set, letting somebody have a go at something for a long time. So.
Yeah, well, I was going to say on that, Peter, actually, I'm excited to announce, because I can do this, actually, I could probably bring up on the screen here, Stephanie has agreed to, for us, for next Thursday evening, we're going to not do Behind the Piano, but we're going to go and we're going to do an hour of Celtic harp music.
Brilliant.
With her. So she's going to take over the stream, and she's going to do a performance called Songs of the Seals, which is very much about the background of the music that she loves playing. I think she's going to include some original music that she's written, and some other pieces sort of drawing on that Celtic heritage that she really loves. So I'm really excited by that. Get a night off. Fantastic. Looking forward to it. I can relax. Not the driving force behind this at all. And yeah, absolutely. I'm genuinely really excited because just like us, it gives Stephanie an outlet to be creative and to to explore creativity in the confines of what we're doing as well. So I warmly encourage you to tune in at 6:30 till 7:30 next Thursday evening, or do on the catch up. And if you're interested out there, if you're watching the live stream and you'd like to come along and see that, say come along, it's nonsense, just log in and see. That'll be streamed on Facebook, on YouTube and Twitch as well. So we'll be doing that. We might even have Periscope going by then, you never know. So on Twitter, that'd be quite cool. So so look out for the advert on our Facebook page. I think it's up on the moment. Do head over to our Facebook page and follow us or follow Stephanie for all the latest news. If you click interested on the advert on the event, then we'll keep you updated as we go through the week. Might give you a few tidbits of sort of things, and I'm sure Stephanie will be playing on the live feed as well between now and then. To give you a bit of an update actually as well, on Monday evening I'm going to do a bit of an extended piano set because I've got some I'd like to play some songs, do a bit of a singer-songwriter kind of style, which I'm going to reinvent some of the pieces that we did in Salisbury and some new pieces as well, so I'm going to give that a go because I've been really loving the opportunity to do electronic music, and it's kind of like remixing these songs basically. So I'm going to go back and basically just explore it. It might not be it might not be the world's most refined thing, but it's just a chance to kind of just get stuck in, play a bit of music, and see what happens, and then work forward. So it's kind of like a chance to kind of explore some new material, really, for me. So I'm quite excited by that, and I've been working quite hard on it recently, and over the weekend I'll put some more time in. So if you're interested in that, that'll be on Monday. That'll be the first half of Behind the Piano, and then tomorrow evening, do join me on the balcony for Elements. So that's the end of that, Peter. You were talking yesterday about some observations on people as well. Was that the image that you shared, or did you have some more thoughts?
Yeah. No, I was going on that. I was saying because I'm a playwright and a poet. One of my jobs is to observe people because that's how you learn. And it's very interesting observing people at the moment, how they're behaving, and kind of working out, it's a bit like being an anthropologist. You're trying to work out, is this how people really want to behave now that we've stripped all the nonsense away? Are we returning to a more basic form of behavior, or is this something unusual that we will never see again? And that's been the great thing about 2020, is this whole thing about, we feel we're on the edge of something. We're either on the edge of going forward into a new place, or we're on the edge of kind of returning to an old thing. And I think it won't happen immediately, but it might give people an idea that actually we don't need all the stuff. We don't need stuff. We don't need to race around mindlessly, just trying to catch up with things. We can go back to without losing any quality of life. In fact, gaining quality of life. That's the important thing, is that we must, and that was the problem that I think we were having up to now. We were all seeking to amplify our life, to make more of it, and without actually gaining any quality of life. And everything was, going a bit pear-shaped. Well, it has been for 200 years, but we're now in a place where we can reset and maybe look again at the way the world is organized. It'll be interesting. We're living in interesting times. So what I would ask everybody to do is just observe what people are doing. Take the moment to watch, listen to the way people talk, listen to the conversations that people have, which is kind of one of your things, Richard. This kind of where we've got a synergy, me and my old cynicism, and you and your young, youthful, going forward thing. But there is this thing of, if only we listen to people, maybe we'll understand a bit more about how the world works. Watch how people work through the world. I don't know what we do with it once we've listened and watched, but keep piling up the evidence and see if we can come to some great conclusion. Or no, I don't think we ever want to come to a conclusion about things. We just want to understand how they run forward and how we're part of a process running forward into the future, which is now going to be slightly different from how it was in the past.
Yeah.
Finish.
No, you're absolutely right on that. To say that, Peter, you're right as well to say that we're not too sure what the conclusion is, but it doesn't. That's the curious nature of it, isn't it? Something in me, and I feel it in you as well. You're just curious about what is going on.
Yeah,
why are these people
everything.
doing this? What's happening?
It's all very interesting, and I know that sounds terribly, it's terribly sad because there's a lot of sadness going on. There's genuine sadness. People who are out of touch with their families, people who and people who are losing loved ones, and that is intensely sad. But amid that emotion, there is kind of the possibility of a future, a future in which maybe we do listen to each other a bit more, and maybe we realize how interdependent the whole world is, how we've come to realize it. Good grief, it's taken us long enough. That the whole world is networked together, woven so tightly that, if I pull a string here, something will happen in Australia, or, if something happens, some unfortunate thing happens in China, we feel the effect here. We can't undo that. We've got to, humanity is joined together in such a network way. And quite rightly, that is what being human is all about, is being joined together, is being part of this great entropic principle. And sorry, I'm going on a bit here.
So I was going on earlier, so it's fine. I think it's just one of those streams. And to be honest, let's just roll with it. I'm enjoying it.
I must just say, I'm very interested in emergent behaviours, which I'm sure is very big at the moment. It's this idea that you are part of something which nobody understands. Like murmurations of starlings. The way they twist and turn through the world is an emergent behaviour. It's not the behaviour of any one individual. It's the emergent behaviour of a whole group of starlings flying together. And it's not magic. It happens because of behaviours which are built into being starlings. It's the same as fish. I do a lot of snorkeling, and you see fish, little sand eels, little flocks, and they do exactly the same thing. They all turn together. They're all, and you can't see the individual fish, but you see the emergent pattern of all of them working together. So I think that has been demonstrated to us very forcibly at the moment, the fact that there's emergent behaviours in the world of which we are part, and we don't necessarily understand what they are or how they work, and maybe we don't need to. We just become part of the big thing. Sorry.
It is. I do find that a really interesting topic, because you say about the big thing, and the thing that I find one of the most interesting things about what's happened over the last few weeks, and still today, is that what you've seen something happen, and people going in some sort of behaviour in a response to that. But there are still people that then will go against that behaviour, and even though it's crystal clear, or to me, and maybe I'm passing judgment here, but it seems crystal clear of what the response should be, and you still then have a response that is not that at all. And I find, and you look at it and you go, what news are you reading, or what are you? How have you come to that conclusion, other than simply going, well, you're all wrong, and therefore, there's inbuilt kind of I'm better than you kind of thing. And
I'm a great believer that people have different views of the world. They do have different views, and people are not malicious necessarily or arbitrarily contrary. They are asserting a form of individualism that they need. But I think that only throws up in light what is actually happening. So emergent behaviours are not something we decide to do. They are things that we do, and generally we do them together, and we do them together for a very good reason, because we can't do them apart. Human beings cannot live apart. We are a social animal, and we must. And those people who choose to work outside that, I think, are the exceptions, and they have, and they probably still belong within the big pattern.
Oh, absolutely. I just find it interesting, and this really sparks my curiosity, because I feel like the human race must be the only race, or the only thing, where you can literally put up black and white, and we can interpret it as grey or blue or silver, and you can literally put up a figure or a statement of fact, and everybody can kind of interpret that in a different way. which I think I find it is amazing. I mean, you look at the response of the different countries across to the same. It's the same, the same basic fact. Coronavirus has come out of China, and this is a problem, and yet every country has a slightly different response back to that, based on an interpretation of the same thing. Which I find I just find it fascinating.
There's kind of, you're straying into a slightly different area there of organisation and sort of political organisation, with an organisation that comes from authority, as opposed to organisation that comes from an emergent behaviour of people. And it's and maybe you have to have both, but it's interesting how we are aware. I think at the moment we are aware of the emergent behaviours as opposed to the hierarchical authoritative.
It's true. It's just it kind of it draws parallels to me with yes, okay, we're talking about political bodies here, but if you start talking about things like music or even traffic light colours, I think is a good one. Somebody will pull up, and to me it's green, but to the next person maybe it's teal. And you realise that you're looking at the same thing, and everybody's looking at it slightly differently. So that fascinates me then, because you end up with this. You have these emergent behaviours, but equally you've got different takes on the same thing. And if you expand that upwards, you end up with this layer of humanity, I assume.
I mean, everybody. I mean, that is the really interesting thing about human being, is that we are all individual. We all perceive the world in individual ways, and we all act in individual ways. But quite often, those individual, quite almost selfish actions can become part of a big behaviour, and it's beyond our comprehension. That we're not aware that we're part of a big thing, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's the sort of voting in the Eurovision Song Contest, and you kind of go, well, why is everybody voting for that song when it's clearly rubbish, but everybody is voting for, and there are reasons. I understand that, but kind of. There becomes waves of thing, and it's not necessarily people bouncing off each other. It's people making decisions which just seem to be part of a wave that goes forward. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just interested in it, and I'm interested in seeing what it throws up at this moment and in this particular time, and I'm going to watch and wait and keep making videos about it until I kind of get some sort of understanding. I don't know, I've never really understood human beings. Which is partly why I enjoy being British, where we can just ignore everybody else. It's kind of
Do you know what I've loved so much about the fact that we've been doing this quite a while now, and we're going to keep on going with these live streams, is that as we go on through the live streams, our individual personalities come out a little bit more, and we're a little bit more truthful and transparent to who we really are, which is really nice.
I don't know. Yeah. Yes. Well, I think you are a wonderful piano player, and I'm very honoured to be part of this actual group, because I know everybody who contributes are really interesting people. we've got such a group of interesting people in the green room here, and I mean we're mostly known to each other, and quite a lot of us have worked together. In fact, I think we've all worked together in one way or the other, but we're still. It's fascinating.
Well,
Absolutely
one of the reasons
fascinating.
that this project exists is the fact that we have such a diverse set of people. It's amazing. Well, you can't put on. We were talking about a big project. I mean, we're talking about potentially going to King's Cross Station next year. I mean, we couldn't do it without that diverse amount of people. I feel very, very lucky and privileged to be part of a group of people, and it shows what you can do if you have, if you let people do their own thing. I mean, yeah, I'd love to just play the piano. That's always been my dream. I'll just happily sit here and play the piano, Peter. But
Well, get on with it.
all right, I will do then. On that note,
Stop chatting to me and get on and play your piano, mate.
well, fine. No, I reckon by my record that I've only got about 10 minutes of battery left in that camera anyway, so we're going to be interested to see if we can find this out. But I will draw the stream to a close tonight because we're running over. Oh, what a fantastic discussion tonight. I really enjoyed that. We've really gone into some different topics I wasn't expecting to at the beginning of this evening, and that's what this is all about. Just before I do leave you, though, tonight, I'm going to jump back very quickly and explore because apparently now thunderstorms are forecast. Sam, are they forecast for tomorrow or just this evening? Because I'm telling you, if we get thunderstorms tomorrow night on the balcony, that's going to make for some epic footage.
I have no idea. I could lean out my window and flick my finger and put it in the air.
Wait a minute.
Well, where's our meteorologist in the group? Somebody was definitely saying that.
I'm
Richard,
checking it.
Richard, I can contribute to this. You just play "Raindrops Are Falling on My Head." It'll be fine.
Yeah. I can see, Richard, I'm looking at the lightning map and I can see there's live lightning about halfway across the channel, but it's going to do what it always does, which is go round the other side of the Isle of Wight. I'm willing to bet there is no thunder and lightning here tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. But I can. Do you know what? I've got this real-time lightning maps up in front of me, and I can see just ahead of the Isle of Wight as a new one. Look, I wonder if I can bring that up. There we go. I can zoom in on that.
No,
that is
the other way.
happened. You reckon it's going to go around that side, do you?
It will go the other side of the Isle of Wight.
Oh, okay.
It always, because the wind is taking it up channel, and I guarantee.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
If you.
Well, if you're watching the stream tomorrow night and one of two things happens, we either end up with some amazing shots or the entire live stream will go down because we get hit and go off grid. So it's 50-50. We'll find out tomorrow. But to play you out this evening then, obviously just to let producer know that we don't have a camera on my left because that's now gone down. But I'll play out a little piece and end the stream tonight. So I've really enjoyed being on the live stream tonight. We've had some amazing discussions tonight. We've explored the One City One Light project, which I wasn't expecting to do, and lovely to hear from Valerie and some other comments on that. It's been great to catch up with Peter, and we've really discussed some in-depth topics tonight, which I've really enjoyed. It's been really good to have. I don't think I've had such an in-depth discussion in quite a while, actually. So that's been really good to have that on the live stream tonight, and not to mention, of course, the musical. Insights of Gabby and Polanski on there from Prague, facilitated by Arthur and the Paliarca there. And just to give you one final update, the lightning is not progressing yet, but maybe tomorrow it will. So we'll keep an eye on that. But from me tonight, I've been Richard. This has been Behind the Piano. Really enjoyed it tonight. Have a very good evening. Good night.